What stopped the war, Melania?
Just a lot of bombs.
A lot of fucking bombs, like Dresden in ashes. That's what stopped the war.
Peace plan, victory plan, these things have become almost annoying at this point, given the fact that we've heard so many of these in the span of this war. Albeit this is a very important thing. And for the longest time, Zelensky has promised to present a victory plan to the world and to the Ukrainians. And yesterday, it has actually happened.
Our people in Ukraine and around the world never tire of saying, "Glory to Ukraine." Ukraine never tires of responding to the heroes. Glory.
So in Verkhovna Rada, President Zelensky presented MPs and the entirety of the country and our foreign partners with this long-awaited victory plan that aims to strengthen Ukraine and finally end the war with Russia. He actually said that if this plan was to come to fruition, the war could be finished in February 2025, which is next year. And this is a very short victory plan. The short version of it being presented publicly, albeit there are some secret addendums. So we're going to talk about it today to kind of give you a more in-depth opinions about this victory plan. Little spoiler and little disclaimer, because most of the contents of this plan are secret for obvious reasons. We do not know the details and we do not know exactly how these things are going to be implemented, but we're going to look at what the president has presented the world with and, give you our opinion on are these things even important for Ukrainians and, answer maybe some criticism that our foreign partners might have for us with this story.
Yeah, because you have to have a plan, right? To win something.
Plans are good. No plans bad. Yes.
No plans bad. Yeah, and we kind of didn't have a plan. We had an understanding, but we didn't have a plan. We have some plan right now, so let's discuss what's that plan about.
Yes, so that plan was outlined by main 5 points. And again, spoiler, none of these points are something A, out of the ordinary, B, unnecessary, C, unexpected, or D, not rational. Everything from it is the stuff that Ukraine has been asking about for the long time. Now they're just put there in an outline like a plan. So number 1, the first point is inviting Ukraine to join the NATO military alliance. Well, again, something maybe not all of you guys know, but aim to join NATO has been settled in Ukraine's constitution, I think back in 2018 or something. So this is not new, and this is not in any way, shape, or form surprising. Ukraine has for the longest time explained that we want to be a part of NATO, and there is actually
for the obvious reasons,
yes.
Right? There was a reason we wanted to be in NATO, because you see, Russia doesn't attack NATO countries. So right now, Sweden and Finland just entered NATO, and you know what Russia did after they entered NATO? Russia they did something. They took their military away from their borders and sent it to Ukraine. So now Russian borders with NATO are actually doesn't have Russian army there, but Ukrainian borders have. So that's why, we wanted for some reason the NATO invitation, and it appears it doesn't usually provoke Russia, but yeah.
Something very funny to be said about this is that one of the so-called pretexts of Putin's invasion of Ukraine was the fact that in his mind, NATO was expanding. Well, now, congratulations. We are vocally saying now that, yes, we in fact do want to expand NATO on our territory. And so Putin, by attacking Ukraine, virtually made it closer. The thing he has been threatening his people with.
But at the same time, a little bit further away, right? So the NATO accession is extremely hard for Ukraine right now. Nobody wants Ukraine in NATO. Everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid of, I don't know what. But there's also a problem because there are several countries in NATO right now which could block Ukraine's NATO accession. But those are not the countries which are blocking it, right?
Yes, no. And actually, another hurdle in that way is that parts of Ukraine are obviously occupied still by Russia. So that will, remain to be seen how these things work out.
Oh, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
If the United States of America wanted Ukraine to enter NATO, eventually, partially, somehow, I think they could find a way, right? Because it's not the laws settled by gods in 5000 BC or something like that, right, on the stone. These are not some kind of... NATO alliance is not some kind of an ancient, ancient temple, ancient... It's the alliance which is 80 years old, which is young, new. The rules can change. The rules can apply differently to different countries. You can give membership action plans. You can change the way NATO operates in some certain conditions, etc., etc. But the idea of NATO remains the same. The idea is to protect Western world and protect the peace in the world by creating the most powerful military alliance, and by not accepting Ukraine and giving a chance to an empire to essentially, genocide this whole European nation which tries to become part of the West, is absolutely not NATO's not in the NATO's values.
Yeah, the next key point is, so obvious that I feel nauseous even talking about it. Like, it's disgusting at this point. We're still on it. The point goes as follows. The strengthening of Ukrainian defense against Russian forces, including getting permission from allies to use their long-range weapons on Russian territory, and the continuation of Ukraine's military operations on Russian territory to avoid creation of the buffer zones in Ukraine. I have nothing to add to this. It's crazy to me, and it's stupid that we still don't have that permission, and that we still have to discuss it after months and years of proving every single theory about that, how usually long-range missiles will somehow provoke Russia into something else. We've spoken about the nuclear threats in our last video. None of it holds water. It's completely fine. For some reason, we are still having to, have this discussion. And yeah, something people don't usually talk about, and something that I'm happy that was a part of this plan, is that, buffer zones are bad. Having buffer zones on Ukrainian territory is bad. Now we sort of have a buffer zone in Russia, which is a very big feat for Ukrainian military, and this is how these things should be. Right, Belgorod, a great buffer zone, all of that. So this is now set in stone. This is what Ukrainian government tells their allies we actually need to achieve victory. So you can't turn it. Like, if you don't let Ukraine do this, you don't want Ukrainian victory. Isn't that simple?
So what I hear a lot and what I see a lot from Ukrainian allies, they are kind of counting on this war as an attrition war, which Ukraine can kind of win or not lose at least. And they are counting on, there's this Russian society which will be tired of war and will protest against war or something like that, this crazy stuff. But at the same time, how can Russian society be tired of war? So because they project, right? So they know they have these Vietnam flashbacks, but not the soldier Vietnam flashbacks, politicians Vietnam flashbacks, which saw the protests on the streets, people unhappy that their kids are sent to a war far away, dying there, etc. But here, there's a real difference, because those are Russians who've been taken from the poorest regions, from the colonized regions, from the prisons, etc., and those are thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who are sent to their death. But actual Russians majority, they don't feel it, they don't know it, because those are this is a big country, right? So those are just people from faraway lands, from villages who don't have enough money, who don't have toilets in their houses, etc. But city Russians, they are fine, they're doing fucking great. And Yeah, so you know what happened recently? Ukraine entered Kursk Oblast. The European Russians, the White Russians, and actually threatened the big city of Kursk, and the things are not going great there. And so there are polls in Russia, which might surprise you, and they're real polls, but not really. People are afraid to end after Ukraine bombed Russian oil facilities, bombed Russian cities with drones, after Ukraine entered Russian territory and brought the war to Russian territory. You know what happened, Melania?
You tell me.
Russians started to support war less than they did before, significantly. Something went wrong. So if our Western allies are thinking, okay, maybe we will count on Russians stopping supporting the war, right? Maybe act in accordance with that assumption, right? Even if we don't think that's gonna really work, but maybe it's gonna work somehow. I mean, many people don't know that. But Nazi Germany, people actually supported the war en masse and were happy about the war en masse in 1942, in 1943, even in 1944, up until the war came to German territory, because they were doing great in Germany, right? They were colonizing lands, getting resources from there. People in Germany lived fine, and they did not protest actually a lot, but then something happened in 1944, right? Something actually happened in 1944, and then German people became less happy about the freaking war, and even it didn't stop the war, right? What stopped the war, Melania?
Just a lot of bombs.
A lot of fucking bombs, like Dresden in ashes. That's what stopped the war. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, weapons stop wars. Impossible. No.
Impossible,
but
yeah.
Other things that have to do with the Ukraine defending itself, including those long-range, not only including those long-range defense operations. Also, something very reasonable the president is asking is that helping partners to help the brigades in reserve for the Ukrainian armed forces, also helping Ukraine perfect its anti-aircraft defense to an extent that would help Ukraine defend their villages and cities from Russian drones and rockets. It's very important too. We've been, again, not offensive operations, defensive operations. Also, he was talking about a common joint defense operations with neighboring countries in Europe to shoot down Russian rockets and drones. Close the sky thing we've been talking about since the very first day of the war. So nothing that, a war does not need to be ended, nothing crazy. So that was the second point. The third point, the deterrence. So it's very important because we don't know the exact contents of what was said about it. It's about containment of Russia via a non-nuclear strategic deterrent package deployed on Ukrainian soil. So we don't know what that means. It's a secret addendum for this point. It was sent out to the leaders of the US, Great Britain, France, Italy, and Germany. Some other countries will still receive that information, to an extent that they can help do that non-nuclear deterrence package. Whatever
My
that
assumption
means.
is, I think it means Western military on Ukrainian soil after the ceasefire agreement. I think that's something like that.
I guess.
Because it's the only thing which makes sense, right? If you think about non-nuclear deterrence, Russians obviously don't attack Western forces anywhere, and
so we'll see about that. But I do enjoy the deterrent package wording. It's like it's really convincing to me. Okay, the next point is the so-called joint protection by the US and the EU of Ukraine's critical natural resources and joint use of their economic potential. That was the whole shebang about that Ukraine has the natural resources and critically important metals that are priced in trillions of dollars, and it can reinforce and help our partners, or they can reinforce Russia, right? It's as easy as it goes. So the president was trying to kind of draw attention to the fact that, well, Ukraine is also a very important land economically, and, if you feel committed to protecting it, you might as well, it might bear some fruits that you can also use, in strategic partnership with Ukraine, which is a very, very important point as well, too.
When I was studying in school, there was this, there was this myth, the fear-mongering from the pro-Russian sources that the West will come to Ukraine and
steal the soil.
And steal the soil. So Ukraine has very potent soil, the black soil, and yeah. So
the West did. In World War II, Germany did try to steal some of Ukraine's soil.
Work?
Not really.
Work? How can
I don't think so.
How much soil can you steal? Yeah. So now we're like, come get it. There are mines there.
You get the soil, and you get the soil, and everybody gets the soil.
After you demine this soil, you can take half of that.
You can have it, yeah. Sounds good to me. Thing. Yeah, sounds fine to me. And the last point was, and I myself find it most fascinating, is only for the post-war period, however, replacing some US troops stationed across Europe with Ukrainian soldiers. Listen. This is great on so many levels, I cannot begin to explain to you. So first, let's talk about Ukraine for a second. Ukrainian military will be able to live abroad for a while, see the thing, exchange some knowledge with colleagues. From my personal experience, being friends with a lot of people from the US military, they do enjoy being stationed in Europe and, checking out the thing. It's a good thing for Ukrainians. Yeah. Also, it's good for other countries because you can then learn all these cool stuff. And also you get these war-hardened professional military personnel who know their stuff, who can, actually protect you, who know how to, who actually fight on land, like infantry. So all cool. 3, that directly caters to the opinion and so-called request or wish of probably soon to be, maybe we don't know, but possibly President of the United States, Donald Trump, who again and again for the longest time has been saying, US is investing so much in European security and NATO. We are the backbone of NATO. Why doesn't everybody pay? Well, and it's partially true. US, Europe and NATO does rely a lot on the US, and it's completely fine. We can we can sit at the adult table. We can actually do that stuff. I think this is really cool. I don't know. It's a good solution. I don't mind it. I don't think anybody minds it.
If those people will get the opportunity to become the professionals, the professional military, if they are good in it and if they are loving it and if they love it, this will be a great opportunity, not just for Ukraine to sustain the army of million people on its soil, which is extremely economically hard, and none of European countries does it. It will be a great opportunity to do both, right? So for Ukraine to have a active military in case Russia attacks or something like that, but also help Europe get experience and get actual military on its territory, which knows how to fight Russians. That's a great thing.
Yeah, all good. If I were to sum up, because there's one more thing I'd like to address, which was bothering me for a couple of days now since this has been unveiled. One of more vocal criticism of this plan, both actually from Ukrainian society, some people were saying that, and also from the West, was the fact that, on the first glance, it seems, because you read the first 3 points, you're like, this plan is like all give, and no, what do we get in return? Well, actually, I don't really believe that. I actually believe this is quite balanced because The first 2 points are yes. It's not a secret to anybody that Ukraine is very dependent on the West, on our partners' help. Like, this is not new. This is not like, we were expecting a plan where Ukraine does something on its own. Well, if we could do something on our own without you, we would have done it by now. And we actually have done it by now. We have done as much as we can.
There's a little secret. Even Russia is dependent on other countries like North Korea and Iran.
China, Iran, all of that. So like number 1 and number 2 are literally just like this. I mean, those are not new requests. Those are just, old requests set in stone. The third one is, I'd say, if it is what Mark said and what I believe it to be, it's a bit risky, it's a bit, I can understand, if I knew what it was, I could understand probably why. But then again, I don't think they would suggest something like this to our partners if they didn't have, some maybe talks about it before, like, maybe you wanna, maybe, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then again, Mr. Macron has been relatively open about saying these things beforehand, even maybe if in jest or not seriously. But the point is, so this one is like a bit, risky, if you will, even though I think it's completely fair. And then the last 2 are literally like, hey, and we give you this. Like, literally, I think this is a well-balanced thing. And again, a lot of people were disappointed because they were waiting, I guess, for something incredible, for some new idea, fresh idea, something never heard before, something that wasn't done before. Well, it's about expectations management. I mean, again, had we have, like this new recipe for victory, don't you think we would have used it by now? So, like, this to me seems like a perfectly fine sound story.
Yeah, there's no recipe for the victory, right? There's just, I mean, you just have, like, there's, like, this obvious thing. Ukraine needs weapons. Ukraine needs people, and Ukraine needs to protect its country from the Russian attacks. And this way we can survive, not like win. But if we had a lot of weapons, if we had like a lot of F-16s and time, if we had a lot of HIMARS and ATACMS and time, if we had not 31 tank from United States, which has thousands of them, but I don't know, like 500 of tanks from the United States by the summer 2023, maybe it would be much better. Maybe we would be much closer to the actual victory.
So if you're a Western leader who by chance have stumbled upon this video, first subscribe to this channel. Please like this video. Please leave a comment like, hi, I'm Macron. I'm a big fan of your videos, yo. And 2, don't look or don't present it as something that is unviable. No, if you really want Ukraine to win, if this is as important to you as you guys say, this should be doable. It's nothing crazy, nothing big. Again, the reason why it was presented in Ukraine and in front of the MPs, well, first because that's how things work in this country. This is what democracy is like. Second of all, it's because we want more and more people know why it's important for us. Your own citizens, your countries. This is just nothing difficult, nothing serious. It's just stuff that had and should have been done in the past months, even years, but we're gonna let it slide if you guys commit now, and we're gonna get this over with, because seriously, I'm so tired of recording these videos saying these obvious things again and again and again. I mean, literally, if you boil down all the content we made on this channel, it will come out as this 5-point peace plan, victory plan. Literally everything we say is, and we are not affiliated in any way, shape, or form with the Ukrainian government. I could even make a joke and say that we are more affiliated with the American government. No, I'm joking. No, CIA, bad. No.
Either that or give us back our nukes, right?
Yeah, just okay. Yeah. By the way, new victory plan from Ukrainian television. You do Zelensky's plan, or you just give us back our nukes. That easy. It's just like so easy. Just like nukes back, give, throw at Russia. We can attach it to a big fat drone. Yeah, we can attach the nuke to the big fat drone, and it's gonna fly and land on the head of some fighter pilot from Russia, and it's gonna be great. Okay.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.